What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Shawn Tiberio Show, your online business school without all the bullshit. Basically, straight to the point. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, wanted to sit down and get rocking and rolling with another episode, and I was playing around with some stuff today, and I was putting together. As I was putting together this episode, I should say, I was playing around with some stuff, and I started to realize a great topic that I haven't talked a lot about, and we're right at the dead smack middle of the year right now. July's kind of in the mix, right? We're like halfway through the month, and it's kind of like the first month of the back half of the year. And I really started to think about goals and what needs to, what do we want to achieve and where are things going? And more importantly, what do I want to go, like, what's my goal with this show? I've been trying to find the the focus and the goal around this podcast. And as I was playing with a bunch of different AI softwares and doing different stuff, I started to realize, like, wait a minute, Shawn, stop overcomplicating things, right? It's the same thing that we tell our clients every single day. Stop overcomplicating and just get very clear on what's the goal for the next 6 months. And it hit me. I was like, you know what? I need to do that topic today. While this is fresh in my mind, why I've had probably one of the craziest Mondays I've had in a long, long time. I posted about this over on my social accounts, over on Threads and Instagram and all over the place, right? And if you're not following me in those areas, it's just at Shawn Tiberio. Very easy to find. But I posted how today was like putting out wildfires. They say Mondays is all about putting out the fun, fighting fires on Mondays. Well, today I felt like the whole freaking forest was on fire and we were trying to put it out. I mean, it's just early on this morning, bam, everything that we had to, deal with. But that's part of business, right? And I got through that and I sat down and I was planning this and I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go live in the group. I'm going to shoot this episode live. It's not going to be polished. Sure, we'll download this. I'll do some posts and we'll post it that way. But for right now, like, this is live. I am live in the moment. If you guys are watching it live, feel free to throw a comment in there. But I felt this topic was something very, very important that needed to be talked about, because the more and more I've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate, non-real estate, really doesn't matter. I've come to realize that they struggle with this concept of setting goals and really understanding what business goals look like. More importantly, what is a goal, right? Let's actually put a definition to that, and I'm going to get into that here in a second. But it is vital, vital, vital to your business to have business goals wrapped around it. If you ever want to see your business grow, scale, expand, even if you're just trying to maintain, right? Just trying to stay right where you're at and hold on to that for the next few months. It is vitally important to have very strategic goals. And we're going to kind of get into how do we set that here on today's episode. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right. So when it comes to the topic of goals, the first thing that I want to talk about is really, I want to define what a goal is. You see, a goal is nothing more than something that you want to achieve. Or in this case, if we're talking business goals, a business goal is nothing more than something you want the business to achieve. Yes, there's a lot more that goes into it. We're going to talk about how do we establish them, how do we set them, all that kind of stuff. But I want you guys to understand, like, that's how simple a goal is what is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want my business to achieve? That would be the goal. Now, why I want to emphasize that is because sometimes we get too wrapped up and we confuse goals, objectives, tasks. I asked somebody, matter of fact, on a client call a couple weeks ago, I asked this question. Actually, I think it was for our Investor Harvest call. I said, what is your goal? What's your outcome? What are you trying to achieve with all of this? And this person did a phenomenal job answering me with a ginormous thing of objectives and tasks, but no real clear picture on the goal. Now, the objectives and the tasks that they were laying out, if you just took them for what they were worth, right, individually, they sounded really good, but you can't judge whether they're good or not because there was no goal attached to it. And there's a very definitive difference. You see, goals are the actual outcomes. This is what we intend to achieve. It's the finish line, right? It's what I call the win. Baseball, football, soccer, right? Sports is very simple to understand. The goal is to win the game, right? Or win the match or win the whatever it's called in that particular sport. And to do that in baseball, I got to have more runs across the plate by the end of the ninth inning than the opposing team. And if I don't, and we're tied, we're going to extra innings, right? And at some point, somebody's going to win because at the end of a bottom of the inning, after that point, somebody's got more runs than the other team. Football, very simple. I got more points on the board. I've scored a combination of touchdowns, field goals, safeties, whatever the case, extra points, all that stuff, all the ways that we can score. I've scored some combination of that that's more than the opposing team. So the goal going in every time is to win. The objective, right, is the actual actions. The objection, or the objectives, I should say, not objection, objectives is the actions. It's the what is going to get me to the goal. And then we take that a step farther, and that objective, right, has a list of things that have to happen. Those are all the different objectives. The tasks become the daily components behind it. So I want to really drive that one home. Goal, outcome. Goal equals desired result. Goal equals the win. What does it mean to win and achieve the goal? The objectives are what we're going to do to get us there, and the tasks are what we're going to do to achieve those objectives. If you stop listening to this episode right here and just let that resonate and let that sink in, I promise you're going to set better goals. You're going to be more clear going forward. Now, understanding the difference between goal, objective, and task is probably just the first real component of it, right? And I'd be curious. Throw it in the notes. Throw it in the comments if you're watching live right now. What are some goals that maybe you've got, or what are some goals that you're trying to set in place? But once we understand that, we need to start asking the question now, how do I set goals? Or if you're the one that already kind of understood that and you're already doing goal setting pretty well right now, but you want to take it to a whole nother level and you want to say, how do I set better business goals for myself? That's where the framework, the tried and true framework, you probably heard 1,000 different people talk about it, but there's a reason why everybody keeps coming back to it. And that is the SMART goal framework. And I'm going to break down what SMART means in the SMART goal framework, and then we're going to kind of expand on that. Now, the SMART starts with S, right? Which is very, very specific. If you want to set goals, we've got to get very, very specific on what that goal is. Now, specific is just the first piece of it, meaning I don't want to be in theory. I don't want to say, well, I want to get in better health. That's not a goal. I mean, it is, but at the end of the day, that's not a very specific goal. What does better health mean? Let's get specific, right? In business, it's like, well, I want to do more deals. We hear this all the time in the real estate space. I want to do more deals this year. That's my goal. Do more deals. Well, what is more deals? Is that one more than you're currently doing? Is that a total of 10? Is that 2 more per month? Like, get very, very specific on the goal. Then behind that, the M, measurable, it should be measurable, right? I want to lose weight. That's a specific goal. I want to lose weight. But I can go a much better, like I can take this to a whole nother level if I say I want to lose 20 pounds, right? I'm still in the realm of losing weight, but I've gotten very measurable now. I know if I don't lose 20 pounds, I didn't win. If I lose 20 pounds, I won, right? So we want to be measurable. It needs to have a measurable component to it. I want to do more deals. I want to do 2 more deals. Well, Is that a year? Is that a month? Let's get some measurable components behind it. The third one, and this is where a lot of people overlook, right? We love to shoot for the stars. We love to kind of try to go to the extremes, but it's got to be achievable. You've got to make your goal achievable and realistic, right? If I were to reword that, it's got to be realistic, which makes it achievable. And then the next piece behind that, the R, is relevant. And I'm going to tie these two together. You see, achievable, right? Realistic and achievable, meaning I can't say I want to lose 100 pounds by the end of July. Right? 100 pounds in a month ain't going to happen. I want to do 10 deals by the end of July, and I've never done a deal before. That's not very achievable, right? So we got to make it realistic and achievable to where we're currently at, our current given state. Depending on what it's around, we got to kind of question, are we actually capable of doing that based on what we're doing right now in this like time frame that we're kind of giving? And that's the final part to SMART, by the way, is it's time bound. There's a timeline to this. But the relevant aspect is it has to be relevant to what you're trying to do, meaning business goals are great to set, but if we're setting business goals that are not actually putting us on the track to doing better business, to growing our business, to going the next level, meaning we're trying to get the cart in front of the horse, we're focused on things that right now we don't need to be focused on, even though they might be, very specific, they might be measurable, they might have, we could achieve them and whatnot, but if they're not relevant to where we're at right now, we got to kind of check ourselves. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the final element is that time-bound component, right? We gotta put a timeline to things. How many guys, I guarantee you, somebody out there watching or listening to this, live, recorded, YouTube, doesn't matter where, you've experienced procrastination at some point. The time-bound component of a goal is what holds us so that if we're going to procrastinate, we have a deadline that we're going to procrastinate against. Because I know sometimes it's easier to, put the head in the sand and just go at it for 3 straight days when it's due in 3 days than it is to work on it for 3 months, a little bit here and there. Some people operate better that way. But if I didn't put that 3-month timeline on it, how long would I procrastinate on it if I didn't actually say it needs to happen by a certain period? So to recap real quick, SMART is very specific, right? We want to get very specific with our goals. We want to make sure that it's measurable. There's some measurable element to that. It needs to be achievable. And more importantly, I say achievable equals realistic, meaning we have to realistically be able to achieve that. Relevant needs to be relevant to where we're at right now and actually have a major impact in what we're doing or be a contributor to a bigger impact to be relevant for us. And then the final component, it needs to have some kind of a time frame, time commitment, time bound behind it. Okay. Now, once we have those in place, once we can set a couple goals, and I'm actually going to take a step back and say my personal recommendation, my personal suggestion is you should never have more than 3, maybe 4 or 5 if they're smaller, but 3 to 4 really large, like true mapped out, SMART focused goals per quarter for your business. If you're the type that's over there, you got a laundry list, 10, 15, 20 different things that you've set goals around. Sure, you're going to achieve some of them, but there's going to be a lot that are just going to take the back seat, or they're just not going to get the attention that they need, and they're going to suffer, right? So 3 to 4 max per quarter. And this is why every single quarter I like to sit down and reevaluate, something we do really, really well inside of our agency. It's something I've always done very well inside of business. Reevaluate, take a look at things, and then readjust for the next quarter and adjust my goals appropriate. And over the course of the year, I'll achieve that same 10, 15, 20 that I might have wrote down at the start of the year, but I've done it in a very strategic format. I probably have achieved them at a much higher level than if I would have wrote all 10, 15, 20 of them down at the beginning of the year, never focused on it again, and just went to work trying to achieve all those. But once we have those in place, that's when it's time to start looking at the next piece of this. And the next piece is we need to track our progress, right? It does us no good to have goals if we're not going to track how we're doing in the process. And what I mean by tracking, I want to bring this concept up. Some of you guys may have heard of it. Some of you may not. The book's hanging out up here on my bookshelf back behind me if you guys are watching this in video format. But there's a phenomenal book. And one of these days I'm going to sit down and do like a whole book review on that. One of the components out of it was lead versus lag measures. And when you really break down the difference between a lead and a lag measure, right? I'm going to go back to sports for an example because it's really easy to explain this using sports analogy here. A lead measure is, if we take football's broken down into 4 quarters, very similar to a traditional year, right? January, February, March, quarter 1, so on and so forth, right? Every 3 months, we've got quarters. Well, football broken into 4 quarters with a time frame of about 14, 15 minutes, 13, I forget what they play in high school now, but up to about 15 minutes, I think, at the pros. Lead measure is how well are we doing? We already know the overall goal, right? What we want to achieve is win the game. The objective is to score more opponents than our opponent. We're going to run these type of plays. That's kind of the tasks of this. How we measure how well we're doing in this objective of hitting our goal is at the end of quarter 1. Are we got more points, right? Are we winning currently, or are we a little bit behind? If we take a step back and say our goal is to lose 30 pounds in the next, 30 pounds in the next 6 months, right? Well, a lead measure would be after 30 days, working out, eating well, right? Watching our diet, cutting out alcohol, all this kind of stuff. At the end of 30 days, getting on the scale and see if we've dropped any weight. And if I want to lose 30 pounds over 6 months, I know I need to chip away at X number of pounds per month to ultimately hit that. Am I there? Did I get there, right? That's a lead measure. That's a measurement that's in the moment that's letting us know if we're leading in the right direction or if we're leading in the wrong direction to ultimately achieve. And here's the problem. Too many people focus on the lag measure. The lag measure is the loss of 30 pounds after 6 months. It's the final score of the game. It's the goal that I wanted to achieve in my business, X number of more deals in the first, 6 months of the year. And they wait until that time to then look and see, did we do it? And that's lagging in measurement. Why? Because it's already happened. I can't make adjustments off of lag measures. So a majorly missed component of goal setting is not putting measurements in place. And I'm not talking just KPIs. We're going to get into that here in a second, but I'm talking about the lead measure versus lag measure understandment and really focusing in on those two. Now, to do that, that's where KPIs come into the mix. That's where having some kind of a KPI tracker, even if it's, obviously if we're going to go deal specific, right? I want to do 10 deals more than I normally do in the first 6 months of the year. Well, I can back my way into that. I can say, okay, how many offers am I currently writing? How many leads do I currently get right now? How many leads do I have to an offer? And how many offers am I writing to get one deal? And this is what's keeping me where I'm currently at. If I want to do 10 more, then I can start to do the math. And now I can put some KPIs in place and say, like, how many leads did we generate? How many offers did I write? And how many total deals did that result to see if are we doing enough, right? Are we generating enough leads? Are we writing enough offers and getting enough properties under contract to ultimately do the number of deals more on top of what we were presently doing? And having a weekly check-in to this, right? That very, very good practice is to say, hey, I'm going to check my lead measures every single week, not just waiting to the end of the month. That might be too long. Maybe early on you need to do this weekly check-in. And then the other one that I love to put in place to help me track my progress is an accountability partner. That could be your business partner. That could be somebody on your team. That could be a friend, a family member. It doesn't matter what it is. Just somebody that also knows what you're trying to go after, what it is that you're ultimately trying to achieve, right? That's the goal. they're aware of it, they know it, and they have no direct impact on it other than to make sure you're staying on track. They're the ones that you can bounce your lead measures off of, talk it through. If you're falling behind, pick brains, right? Express, talk a little bit, get some guidance. Maybe they'll give some feedback that'll help you get back on track, right? So again, real quick as we start to wrap up this episode, I didn't want to go too long on this. I know this is a topic that a lot of people talk about, but I wanted to get it out there and share because we're at the back half of the year, and this is a perfect time to sit down and say, okay, what's my goal by December 31st, right? We're almost down to 5 months to go. Over the next 5 months, by the end of December 31st, 2023, what do I want to achieve? What are some business goals that I want to achieve? What are the objectives? How am I going to get there? What are the tasks that I need to do? And then really make sure that they're wrapped around a smart format. Are they strategic? Are they measurable, right? Can I get some kind of a measurable level to it? Is it achievable and realistically achievable for me and my business right now? Is it relevant to where I'm at and where I want to go? Does going that direction, does doing that goal, and I can't emphasize that one enough. Roger and I, and just anytime I've done this, there's a number of times that we look at something and go, you know what, never mind. I know we wanted to do that, but actually it has no impact right now. It's not relevant. It's actually not going to help us. It's actually going to hurt us. So let's just not do that right now. Or, hey, it's not going to hurt us, but it's also really not going to help us. It's not the right timing for it. Great. Put that on the list to revisit later on and see if we want to build a goal around that. And then the final component was that time bound. Track your measurements, right? Track your results, track where you're at in the process, lead versus lag. Make sure we're on pace on a consistent basis so that we're not waiting to the end to try to get that final measurement in. Use your accountability partner. Do what you need to do, right, to get there. So hopefully you got some value out of this. This would be one that I would say save, bookmark, whatever the case, come back to every so often. And sometimes just rehearing it, right? Being able to recommit to it. Again, I know talking about setting and achieving business goals, we talk about it a lot, but I don't think we've ever really spent the time really focused on talking the strategic component of it. And that smart side of it, that the smart component, the smart fundamentals of goal setting is very, very, very pivotal. It's something I'm going to be doing next week. I'm heading to Miami to a mastermind event, something we go to 3 times a year. And one of the things that we do every single time we're there, and it doesn't matter whether you've got a business that's doing, 100,000 a year, or some of the people in our mastermind are doing over 8 figures a year. We all sit down, we spend time going through goal setting for the next quarter and really getting strategic and measurable behind that and all the different components. So highly, highly, highly recommend that you guys spend some time, do it. I'd love to hear about your goals, the stuff that you're setting. Throw them down in the comments. Shoot us a message at REI Toolbox, or shoot me a message at Shawn Tiberio. The handle is right down, right over here on the screen, at Shawn Tiberio on most social channels. Send me a message. I'd love to hear what you guys got going on. What kind of goals are you setting? What are you in the process of achieving? That kind of stuff. And until we see you on another episode, which I got a bunch of them in the queue. I told you guys I was working on some planning today, this morning, and this one just happened to bite me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going live today. I'm going to get this thing recorded. I'm going to get this one out. But I got a handful of episodes that are coming that are really going to help take your business to the next level. It's going to help you up level your current operation. And for those of you guys that are really looking to take your business and scale it, move to the next level, right? We're not just trying to sit stagnant. We're not just trying to treat this as a hobby. Nothing wrong with those individuals. But those that are ready to move their business forward, that's where we're going to start to focus a lot of this content in on. I got a plethora of content coming up in the next few weeks that I think you guys are going to love out there. So be sure, if you're not already subscribed to the show, subscribe to the show. Pay attention. Make sure you get on our email list if you're not already on it, all that kind of stuff, because there's going to be some really good stuff coming out that you're not going to want to miss out on. Till I see you guys next time, as I say all the time, hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And as always, here's to your business success. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.